I just don't understand how somebody who is signed to Beyonce's record label, who is literally a trending topic on Twitter pretty much every other week, someone who has so much relevancy in pop culture amongst young people and is so incredibly talented, is beautiful in every way. On paper, Chloe Bailey should be poised for such great success. But the reality is her music is simply just not resonating with the masses, and I just don't understand. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashley Viola and I make videos that focus on pop culture, current events, and social issues. And today I want to talk to you all about Chloe Bailey's debut album In Pieces and why it's not doing so well. Now, the intention of this video is not to bash Chloe or to bully Chloe. I know that Chloe is subjected to so much misogynoir and just people really being just incredibly cruel and mean to her. And so I want to get this out of the way. Like, that is not the intention of today's video. Today, I just want to talk about, in my opinion, some of the reasons why Chloe's music is not resonating with people. Chloe's debut album In Pieces has peaked at number 119 on the Billboard 200 albums charts. Comparatively, Chloe and Halle's second album, which was critically acclaimed, Ungodly Hour, peaked at number 16 on the Billboard charts and was nominated for a number of Grammys. And Chloe and Halle's first studio album, The Kids Are Alright, peaked at number 139 on the Billboard 200 charts. So this definitely shows that Chloe has a track record of charting higher with each album, and I have faith that she can course correct and produce better music that resonates with more people in the future. Now, I made a whole video talking about Chloe's hypersexuality and the hypersexuality of Black women and the music industry in general, which you should definitely check out. I'm going to keep it pretty concise in this video, but I definitely expand on it more in that video. But I think that Chloe has focused too much on her image and not enough on the music. And I think the image has distracted people away from the music because the image is so polarizing to so many people who just, including me, can't understand why she's navigating her career in such a way. This may sound a little harsh, but I feel that Chloe, her image, the way that she's branded herself has been more akin to an Instagram model or a video vixen than a musician. I think that there's just a lack of just identity and a lack of understanding of what is the appropriate way to brand yourself as an R&B artist, as a pop star. Like, there is a disconnect. When you criticize a woman's display of hypersexuality, you automatically get put into a camp of you hate women, you're holding women back, you're being conservative. I've said this before in previous videos, but I think that the displays of sexuality that we see, particularly in the music industry, are so cliche, are so disempowering of women because they're made to cater to the male gaze. The sexuality that they're selling is not empowering to women, it's tantalizing to men. That's why it's so cliche. It's so unimaginative. It's so predictable. Everybody's display of sexuality looks the same, which is why it's like there's nothing unique about it. It doesn't feel liberating. It doesn't feel empowering. It just feels vulgar. It feels cheap, and there's a fine line between being sexy and being vulgar. It's just over the top. It's the constant just booty shaking and the constant just like rubbing on herself and just like gyrating, and it's over the top, and it comes across as insincere. It comes across as you're reading a manual on how to be a shock value pop star for dummies. Like, that's what it comes across as. Like, there's a manual being followed. It does not come across as sincere. And again, this is not just a problem with Chloe, but I think with her, the music doesn't measure up to it. When we think about someone, especially an artist that's a new artist, right? She's just now navigating her career, navigating her image as a solo artist. And first impressions matter. They matter so much. When I think about Beyonce and her first single when she came out with Crazy in Love, a sexy song, but there was a fine line between that and being vulgar. And even Rihanna with her first single when she came out with Pon de Replay, I believe that was her first single, you weren't seeing that over the topness. When you think of Beyonce, when you think of Rihanna, when you think of Gaga, when you think of these artists early on in their career, they didn't come out straight out the gate like being so over the top in that same way. I think that Chloe very quickly typecasted herself from Have Mercy to Treat Me to Surprise. Every single song was about the same thing. And I think that she typecasted herself really early on rather than give us variety. By the time In Pieces came out, she'd already just like turned people off because she wasn't giving variety and showing how versatile she truly could be as an artist. She was typecasting herself as just this video vixen kind of brand when you're trying to sell us you being a singer-songwriter. She's amazing and she's talented in that vein. I just wish that the image would match up to it. People, I think, are more interested in seeing Chloe Bailey and guys are more interested in salivating over Chloe Bailey. That's fine. But that's the problem when your image is so heavily geared towards the male gaze, is the males are going to love to see you on IG, right? They're going to love to see you half naked. They're going to love to see you doing the Bust It challenge. They're going to love to see you twerk. But social media followers do not translate to album sales. I mean, just look at Sweetie, right? Sweetie is very attractive. She's got a ton of followers on social media. Her album, her last album that just came out, what did it sell? Like 1,000 in its first week? So again, it's like when you overly focus on the image and not enough on the music, people are not going to be interested. Now, if Chloe wants to pivot and be like an IG model and an influencer for a living, she would be very successful in that. But as long as she's like selling music as well, and she, I believe, wants to be a musician, I mean, clearly is a musician, is clearly talented, the image that she's projecting is a distraction. Her getting her back blown out on Swarm is a distraction. People will tune in and watch that, but they're not going to listen to your music. You have to leave something to people's imagination. But when you're giving it all away in such a just conspicuous manner, it actually works against you and it does the opposite, and it makes people lose interest because it desensitizes people to it. When people see it over and over and over again, when they're constantly seeing her booty, constantly seeing her wearing very little, it's not special anymore. I'm a millennial, and back in the day, the artists that I grew up listening to, this was long before there was social media, long before there was TikTok, long before there was Instagram, and all of these outlets that artists are currently using in order to blow up rather quickly, right? I like to say that we're living in kind of a microwave generation, right? People are no longer taking the time to just, season themselves, to season their artistry, to bake their artistry at 375 degrees for, 45 minutes. People are no longer doing that. It's let's put it in the microwave for 2 minutes and beep, beep, beep. It's done. You're famous. People are talking about you. And I think that that's the problem with Chloe and a lot of newer artists, is that they are no longer taking their time to become successful and to hone in on their craft and to like work out all of those kinks, right? The artists that I grew up listening to were performing in pretty much holes in the wall, small clubs, small bars, birthday parties to an audience of 12. They were using those smaller stages in order to cultivate, in order to practice, in order to make those mistakes along the way. But nowadays, in the age of TikTok, in the age of YouTube, in Chloe's case, I know she was discovered by Beyonce and her team because her and her sister Halle used to do covers on YouTube. I just feel like she rose to fame rather quickly, too quickly, and she didn't have enough time to develop as an artist and spend the several years that many artists spend developing their talents and honing in on their talents. The artistry has not been fully realized yet. There's so much in there. There's so much potential. Once again, Chloe is so talented. We saw that with Chloe and Halle. But the songwriting today that we get from Chloe Chloe versus what we got from Chloe and Halle, it's like night and day. It's like, it's so generic, manufactured. To me, the music just lacks that same originality, that same just innovation that we heard from her earlier music with Chloe and Halle. And I think that's where it falls short. And speaking of short, her songs are so short. I think the runtime for the album was like 37 minutes and some change. And I just feel like we need to have longer songs. A lot of her music, it just comes and goes, right? You listen to the song and it's over and it's not memorable because it's so short. Again, it's being made to blow up on TikTok. It's being made to get the most out of airplay. It doesn't feel real. It feels manufactured. It feels like we're trying to get a radio hit. We're trying to go viral on TikTok. And I know that's what happened with Have Mercy. You know, that song went viral. And I think that Chloe's been trying to recreate that virality through these little soundbite songs that are just not fully realized. And that's just how I feel about In Pieces. The music just comes across to me as being incredibly insincere and just not capitalizing off of all of Chloe has to offer. So another reason why I feel that Chloe's music is not resonating is because she does not know her audience. That was confirmed to me when she announced that she was collaborating with Chris Brown. That was met with widespread uproar by her fan base on the internet, who sounded off and said, why are you working with this person that is known to be a colorist, known to be harmful towards women, known to be a misogynist, known to be just an all-around awful human being, right? It really did confirm to me that Chloe does not know her audience, because her audience is progressive, young, Gen Z and millennial women primarily, and gays, of course, primarily. And it's just like, to do a collaboration with him tells me you do not know your audience. You think that your audience is like the types of people who live for the shade room and, like, I don't know, gossip in the city and whatever other rap blog that's out there. That's not your audience. I think a lot of people checked out after the Chris Brown collab. And not only did she collab with him, but she also doubled down on it on her social media, posting pictures of her and Chris and just stating how great of a person she felt that he was. And, you know, basically doubling down. This was after all of the criticism. And it's like, okay, you're going to stand all the way in it then. You're going to stand 10 toes down in all of this mess. And it's just like, again, you do not know your audience, because from a PR perspective, it just looks so bad. And I honestly feel like that was the last nail in the coffin for a lot of people. I think a lot of people were already feeling like a disconnect with her image and some of the other ways that she's been navigating her career and the music, and people have been supportive, like myself, regardless of our disagreement with a lot of the things that she had done. I think that the last nail in the coffin was the Chris Brown collab. I think a lot of people checked out after that. A lot of her audience is alternative Black girls. That's what made her special to so many people. That's why people gravitated towards Chloe and Halle's music, was because it was so different from everything else. And now we see Chloe trying to fit into that box and be like everyone else. And I get wanting to expand on your existing audience, but when you alienate them altogether, why are we doing this? We do not know our audience. That's why we're doing this. Recently, at one of Chloe's concerts, she sounded off against all of her detractors, and she was just like, F the haters, I don't care. I think, though, there is a difference between a hater and someone who's offering constructive criticism. And I get when there's constantly, I can only imagine the barrage of negativity that Chloe is often subjected to, how many horrible, mean comments that she gets, that it can be hard to decipher through who's being a hater and who's being a supporter who wants better from you, who knows that you're capable of better, who knows that you're selling yourself short. There is a difference. I think that there's so much discourse constantly online where if someone disagrees with anything that you like, automatically they're a hater. They're a hater, they're jealous, they're bitter, this and the third. And there's plenty of haters out there. There's plenty of jealous people out there for sure. But I don't think that everybody needs to be grouped in that same category. Just because someone disagrees with something that you happen to like does not render them automatically a hater. People are allowed to critique, people are allowed to disagree, and I think that a lot of the criticism that Chloe has gotten has been good faith criticism, and I think that it would do her good to listen to some of that criticism and to improve on her work. Chloe did so much press for this album. She literally was on Jimmy Kimmel, she was on Tamron Hall, she was on so many different shows doing a lengthy press tour to show her music off to the public. Again, Beyonce's record label, she has a force, a juggernaut force of a major record label behind her, despite the fact that she has all of these resources, despite the fact that she's trending on Twitter every other week. Something is not resonating. I think ultimately what matters is that Chloe is happy with her music, and I hope that she is. I hope that she's happy, and I will say this, it's not a black and white thing. There is also a certain sector, while albeit small, people who are enjoying her music, who enjoyed In Pieces, and I don't want to take that away from people, because at the end of the day, that's what art is supposed to do. Art is subjective. All art isn't for everyone. So even if there is a select few people that are enjoying it, if it makes you feel good, if it makes you feel just like a catharsis, then keep listening to it. By all means, keep jamming to it, keep listening to it. God only knows that there's albums that I love personally that weren't the most successful commercially, like Art Pop. Where are my Art Pop girlies? Because I love Art Pop. That's like my favorite album of Lady Gaga's. It's her least successful though, right? So, or at least one of her least successful, but I love that album so much. So I get it. Not everything is going to be popular. My concern though for her is this is her debut album. Again, you're setting the tone. This is the first impression. And typically people's debut albums are an indicator of how successful they're going to be. Typically people's debut albums are their highest selling, highest charting albums. So when your debut album is already starting at the bottom, that's a problem. There's always room for growth. There's always room for progress. Absolutely. But it is concerning to me because debut albums are often an artist's best because they've had their whole lives leading up to when that album is recorded. They've had their whole entire lives to work on that album. Typically, people's best-selling albums are their debuts. Now, I understand that people are not listening to music as much as they used to back in the day. Obviously, people are not buying physical albums, but the Billboard charts have been revised to take into account streaming. They recognize that streaming is the top way that people consume music in 2023. So this is considering streaming. Ultimately, I just want to say that I hope that Chloe is happy with the music. And for those of you guys who love the music, keep listening to it, keep bumping it if it's resonating with you. I think that there needs to be an introspection, a course correction on her part as far as her image goes, her artistry goes, and just knowing her audience goes, right? And I think that that starts with listening to some criticism, not all of it, but let me tell you, I'm not a hater. I wish Chloe nothing but the best. I want her to be as successful as she deserves to be. I want her to live up to her full potential because she is so freaking talented. So I want to hear from you all though in the comments down below. Is there anything that I missed as far as why you think that In Pieces flopped? Definitely want to hear from you all in the comments down below. And if you like this video, then definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you really liked it and you want more content like this, definitely hit that subscribe button. And I'll talk to you all next time.